I'm making this video today because I've been seeing a lot of stuff coming up on my feed about YouTube resellers, YouTubers, and the difference between the two, exposing good ones and calling out fake ones and liars and all that kind of stuff. And I just have a few quick things that I want to say about it. And since I've been putting out podcast style talking content, maybe some of this will relate to you and hopefully it'll just kind of help dissipate some of the drama. I don't even really consider myself much of a micro-influencer, even though I have followers, because my content has always been kind of sporadic. I usually make it when I feel inspired or encouraged or motivated, or when something good happens to me and I have a little bit of extra energy, but I've never really just chased constantly making content just to grow something without a purpose. And so I've been making these videos, the last couple that you've seen from me, and if you haven't watched them, you can go back and let me know your thoughts, but mostly because I just kind of want to encourage and share some opinions of mine with the reseller community on what I think is going on in today's day and market within reselling. I think there's a kind of a little bit of drama, people hiding behind their phones and keyboards, talking smack about other resellers, saying who does the best here, who's lying, who's exposing, who's trying to use thumbnails and clickbait and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, to me, it's become more of just like a Republican versus Democrat political debate. And I think at the end of the day, what we have to realize is that there's always going to be somebody that disagrees with you. And I've had these conversations with my friend Josh, Harry Tornado, and it is a really tough line to stay on between what people consider a reseller and what people consider a YouTuber. And ultimately, when somebody finds success in something, especially if we enjoy their content, we should ultimately be happy for them. People who seem to find hate or anger or frustration in Tech and Sports doing great with his YouTube content, or Harry Tornado doing great with a local booth, or whatever the case may be. A lot of Josh just made content and started coming back out with YouTube videos. Like, ultimately, we should be happy for these people. These are people that are in our corner. These are people that they all have different opinions on how to run a reselling business or what reselling means to them. But ultimately, I think that everybody who is making content in the reselling space ultimately wants to help. And so I'm pretty mind blown how negative and how obnoxious people can be that want to hide behind their keyboards and their phones and get upset about other people's decisions and how they make them, when you're losing time in your own reselling business writing negative comments. Or if you're going on a podcast and you're talking crap about another content creator, or you're talking about, somebody who you think is making fake content. I mean, man, just message the person if you really have that big of a problem with them. The fact that people are constantly dogging on each other is like if Tom Brady was playing for the Patriots and all he did was talk crap about Gronk outside of the football game. That would literally accomplish nothing for the Patriots, just talking crap about his own teammate. We're all supposed to be teammates here. We're all supposed to be encouraging each other, working together, taking nuggets from each person's content. If you are watching YouTube videos, if you're watching this video, you are obviously either drawn in by some type of title that I put on this, which hopefully can be more encouraging and inspiring than coming across as a pessimist. But for those of you who know my motto, it's I'm not angry, I'm just passionate. And I just want to see everybody succeed. And I think it's really sad that we live in a day and age when people are successful in something and all we do is put them down. Just because somebody's eBay store drops a little bit in their 90-day total doesn't make them any less of a person or any less of a reseller because their content grew. We are the ones that helped that content grow. I mean, whether it's Froggy Flips or Harry Tornado or Cincinnati Picker, Homeschooling Picker, Hustle at Home Mom, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It really doesn't matter because all of these people are putting out what they feel is some type of content that can ultimately help the community. I don't see any of these people constantly bragging, showing stuff that is unachievable, or sharing information that is complete lies or unattainable to the average person. I stated in my last video, if you are struggling in your area with sales or goodwill prices or issues with finding inventory, maybe it's time you move. Or if you're struggling with competition at the bins, maybe you drive to a different bins location, and yeah, it's going to take you an hour to get there, but yeah, you're going to have to make a sacrifice and get an hour less sleep or wake up earlier in the morning. I think that it's really insane that we assume that by leaving negative comments on other people's content, just because you disagree with the fact that one content creator's channel started growing and getting views, and they took a sponsored post, that they're not a reseller anymore. That person started in this space, and most likely from a majority of them either quit a job, was making content to show their journey, and then is constantly growing, evolving, adapting, making adjustments to their business, sharing those experiences with us. I think I've seen Harry Tornado share so many fails and losses, and it just seems like every time he has a growth, people want to attack him, and it's just crazy. And I use him as an example because he's my friend, and I have a closer relationship than I do with him than I do with other content creators. But it's just really crazy to me that no matter who the content creator is, there's always someone that comes out of the woodwork and wants to share why this person is a bad person. And to me, it kind of goes a little bit back to, obviously, jealousy for most people. The Tumblr and Reddit and Twitter feeds and stuff, I barely ever go on those. But the fact that people spend so much time of their day feeding on other people's negative energy, if you want to call it that, it's like just making me like boil up a little bit in frustration, because these people are so consumed in jealousy or anger or frustration that someone else is succeeding, that they are letting it affect their own life in a miserable mental way, that it's taking a toll on their own reselling business. And the only way that they can find escapism is by constantly dogging on other people who are succeeding. Imagine if we did that with the CEO of McDonald's or the CEO of Starbucks or the creator of Dragon Ball Z who recently passed away. If all we did was get mad at their success, we wouldn't have these incredible businesses that we take advantage of each and every day. We wouldn't be enjoying the anime saga that is Dragon Ball Z. We wouldn't be enjoying coffee, from Starbucks or wherever you get your stuff from. NASCAR, wrestling, the National Football League. I mean, people that spend time just talking about how jealous they are that Kirk Cousins is making millions of dollars and he's less of a quarterback than Justin Fields. That stuff is just crazy to me, because the more that you give into that kind of stuff, the less time you can focus on your own business, your own life, your own success, your own goals. It's okay to talk about it with friends, don't get me wrong. I think that as humans, the society we live in encourages social talk of what is good and bad in this country, this world, what is going on socially, economically, politically, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. I am totally okay with that. Personally, I hate politics, so I try to stay out of that completely. I really don't see a lot that gets accomplished by arguing on Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok over, whether you agree with one policy or another. But I just think it's crazy that people won't just have a conversation with somebody and then either they are encouraged by it, they don't want to have anything to do with the conversation, but then they move on with their life. Instead of just constantly feeding on that and saying, I can't believe so-and-so won't change their mind. I can't believe this person is so ignorant to this. And it is really crazy that in the reselling space, it's such a unique niche. We already have so much hate coming against us that we should all be coming together to promote sustainability, to promote shopping secondhand from these stores. I know I make a lot of short form content trolling Goodwill about, their overpricing and stuff like that. That's just kind of like a micro niche that I found that I have fun making content about. But ultimately, the fact that us resellers can't come together just shows how divided and, in my opinion, immature our country is, or our reselling space is. We should be able to have fun together. We should be able to do podcasts together. And instead of putting each other down, we should be building each other up. If you disagree with somebody's content, you don't have to follow them. You don't have to watch their content. And as I'm saying this, I can think of one example for myself, and I'm not going to say any names, but there was one person who was creating content on Instagram. They were making short form content. For me, I found it really corny, just wasn't my cup of tea. Instead of unfollowing that person because they were constantly on my feed because they were making content every day, I kept complaining about this person who was making content that they enjoyed. And instead of just letting it go and letting this person find happiness in the content they were making, I kept feeding into my own frustrations. I'm like, this person is so annoying. And I eventually got to a point where I never commented on this person's content, or I never really said anything negative to the community as a whole about them, because I don't believe in doing that. I just kept letting myself get annoyed with it. And ultimately, I just ended up unfollowing that person. And for me, that was a really healthy decision, because I was just letting stupid immaturity control my emotions about somebody else's happiness on making their own content. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean other people don't enjoy it. Just like if I like the Ben Shapiro show and you don't like it, okay, well, you don't have to watch the Ben Shapiro show. Or if I don't like the way that somebody is talking about some type of content, whether it's reselling, political, financial, you may like or may not like Dave Ramsey's financial advice, and you may like or may not like Grant Cardone's financial advice. They're two totally different financial gurus in their own space doing their own thing. Do you think they spend a lot of time constantly just feeding on hate comments? Absolutely not. Do you think that people are bothered by them? I'm sure they are. I know that I wear my heart on my sleeve, so when I get negative comments, I usually try to evaluate and say, what am I doing wrong that this person, isn't enjoying my content? But from there, I try to either move forward and grow from it and learn from it. Like if somebody says I'm rambling too much, I just may not be their cup of tea. Just like you may not enjoy X person's content. I'm trying to not use names here because I don't think it's fair in who I agree with or disagree with. But ultimately, you just don't have to watch them. Stop feeding yourself with negativity and start feeding yourself with positivity. For one example is Rachel Strickland. If you just want somebody that's going to constantly encourage you, motivate you, share positivity in your life, help you just feel like a good person, go watch her content every single day. If you're looking for someone to just be entertained because you want to see flea market hauls, then go watch the people that are making flea market videos. If you want to learn about stuff that's selling in the market today, there are great content creators about that. If you don't agree with that person's content, don't keep feeding on it. And I think that us as resellers, even if you don't want to feed on it, instead of writing negative comments about these people, how about you just leave it at you just choose not to watch them? And I think that it would make our reselling space a whole lot of a better place. It would make it a healthier place. It would make it less volatile, less uninhabitable. I think that people who want to become resellers, they should see the space and think, that this is a safe space for them. I think that we have to treat our online reselling space, because we're supposed to be a community, a culture of people who can come together and share information, share bolos, share wins. And we should be happy when somebody finds a Coogee sweater, or somebody finds a grail at the bins, or somebody has a good day at the flea market. We shouldn't be dogging them because you think they overpaid. If you're a bins buyer, you're not going to go to the flea market and pay $20 for a pair of shoes that you can flip for $50, but that's somebody else's business model. But I'm sure you can watch their content over time and take a nugget or two of value from that person. And ultimately, that's what we should be looking for. We should be looking at the 9 out of 10 positive things that this person is giving to us in this content, taking the time to make it, to create thumbnails, to edit it, spending their own time to put out content to a community, ultimately to help. I think that 99% of the reselling community is encouraging and wants to help, but some people just interpret it the way they want to interpret it to make themselves feel better. And if that's you in this case, then maybe you should take a step back and evaluate the way that you look at the reselling space, because if you were doing that in a corporate job, I guarantee you HR would be on your tail to tell you, you either need to stop this nonsense or you can leave the company. And if there was a HR for reselling, maybe I'm that person right now to tell you, if you don't stop that nonsense, maybe it's not you, but if you don't stop that nonsense, you're not going to last long in this reselling space. We really need to be a team, a rope of many strands that gets tighter and tighter and stronger as more people come into the group. You're always going to have people on TikTok and Instagram that aren't resellers that hate. But the fact that people are self-hating other resellers is just tragic. To me, it's actually disgusting because it just shows, just like in politics or sports or any other category, if you're at a football game and the team that you're cheering for is someone right next to you is just telling you how bad the team they're supposed to be cheering for sucks, you get really upset at that person. I don't think that it's fair for us to do that within our own community. And some of us need to have a mind switch, a mental shift into how we feed our minds on what's good and bad. If you agree with whatnot, great. If you disagree with whatnot, don't go on whatnot. It's not that hard to make those shifts. It's like we're adults dealing with kindergartners or adults acting like kindergartners sometimes when we should just be focusing on taking the good away. It's like if a kindergartner or a student comes home with a report card and they have all A's and 1 B. And the first thing a parent does is go, why wasn't that B and A? You should be encouraging that kid and you should be empowering that kid to say, you did great. Those A's are awesome. Tell me about how you got those A's, what you like about that. And then from there, you can kind of use the compliment sandwich, if you will, and then get to the B and say, so tell me about this B, what happened? Instead of just dogging that kid and making them feel like crap for getting a B, that's still a pretty good grade. And the fact that we treat our other resellers like that, where they make one mistake, they mess up one time out of 100, they make one bad buy, and everybody just comes in for the kill, is absolutely insane. I think that everybody has skeletons in their closets, bad buys, secrets that they want to keep from other people, sins that they're living in, if you want to use that kind of a word. You know, people that are disrespectful, people that are mean, they have road rage. There's just a gajillion things. And we are so focused on finding little things within our own reseller community that we can kill other people for. It's just so sad. You just really don't see that in sports. You know, the coaches are supposed to bring everybody together. They're supposed to tell us, hey, even though we lost, we'll get back at it next week. Let's get in the gym. Let's get on the field. Let's get to practice next week. And let's get back to it. Let's get a win next week. We shouldn't just be constantly saying, you suck, you suck, you suck. That is just such a bad way of thinking. And I can't imagine leaving negative comments on somebody else's channel. Even if I disagree with the way they're teaching it, I would just not apply that to my business if it doesn't work for me, and then just move on or take that as motivation as what not to do in my business, rather than feeling like we get some type of gratification from leaving a negative comment or putting somebody down. Can we stop doing that? Please, can we stop doing that? I think it's imperative that we learn to grow up as adults, stop being immature, stop hating people, and start spreading more positivity, encouragement, motivation, love within our community, and respecting people for where they're at in their business. Some people have been doing it for 15 years. Some people have been doing it for 15 minutes. Everybody is just trying to find their way in this world to provide for their own self, to provide for their family, to pay their bills, to have some side income, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it is a real sad world we live in when adults think that they get pleasure out of just dogging other adults. It kind of is like, I'm not into rap or hip hop, but it's like all this stuff going on with Drake and Kendrick is there are so many people that are wasting so much time in their own life finding out what Drake's going to say about him and what Kendrick is going to say about him, and just the back and forth. If all those people just spent time working on their own life, they could be the next big rapper, but all they care about is beef going on with other people. Can we stop worrying about other people's beef or other people's drama or other people's insecurities or mistakes that they make? You're supposed to, when you have children, encourage them when they make a mistake and say, hey, let's not do that again, and here's how we get over it. Here's how we move forward. Instead of just being this negative Nancy that you keep pounding that child with negative reinforcement, they're going to grow to resent that, and then they're going to rebel from you anyway. So we need to encourage each other. We need to share each other's victories. We need to be happy for people. When Josh finds a $10,000 Disney lot and makes a ton of money on it. When Tech and Sports finds an incredible find at the flea market. When Ready, Set, Resell finds 80s toys at a garage sale. We should be happy for these people, not jealous that they have a incredible garage sale area and we don't, because we can do something about it. You can fly to Ohio and go garage sale right next to Ben if you want. You can fly down to South Florida and flea market where Tech is at. You can do all that kind of stuff and prove them wrong, or you can prove them right versus just hiding behind a keyboard and saying a bunch of nonsense. So hopefully not a lot of you that are watching this video need to have a major overhaul in your mental mind, but maybe you can take 1 or 2 nuggets away from this video to realize, yeah, if I spent more time working on my own business, judging somebody else's business, or then comparing myself to somebody else's business, then maybe you'd get a lot more accomplished in your day. Maybe that person's waking up an hour before you, so maybe try waking up an hour earlier. I started waking up early and taking my son to school and then going to the gym. I used to be a sleeper-inner. I used to sleep in late and then sleep in late, then stay up late doing my listings. And now I'm changing so I can get to the bins earlier, get to flea markets earlier. And that's just my personal choice. But if you don't agree with that, that's okay. But there's no need to hate on me for wanting to be more healthy in my choices, to drink more water, to cut out soda out of my life. And I just think that there's nothing that can go bad about that. I'm just trying to make good choices to encourage and inspire my family, my friends, to see that when I make good choices, there's benefits from that. There's fruit from that. And so ultimately, let's come together. Let's be more positive in this community. Let's show other communities out there that the reselling community is the best community to be a part of. And let's love each other. Let's encourage each other's wins and losses. Let's be there for them to help them get back on their feet if someone makes a mistake and not put them down. That's it. I love you. Let's move forward together and let's be a strong community of resellers who can benefit from each other's personalities, characteristics, and learning abilities. Bye.